The rain fell sideways that night. It hissed against the flames, devouring the old lakeside cabin, our second home, our quiet escape. I stood barefoot on the gravel road, soaked to the bone, staring at the inferno that used to be my world. "Mrs. Rayner, you can't go closer," a firefighter yelled, gripping my shoulders. "My husband's inside!" I screamed, my voice raw and breaking. "Ethan's inside!" The fire cracked like laughter. The roof caved in, sending a wave of sparks into the sky like dying stars. Smoke clawed at my throat as if it wanted to pull me in with him. Someone held me back. I kicked, sobbed, begged, but they were stronger. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Then one of the rescuers came out, helmet tilted low, eyes full of apology. They didn't need to say it. I already knew. Ethan was gone. The world turned silent except for the rain and the slow collapse of burning wood. The funeral was a blur of black umbrellas and murmured condolences. My sister Lena never left my side. She was always good at that, showing up when I shattered. She hugged me too tightly, her tears cold on my shoulder. "He loved you, Mira," she whispered. "He really did." I wanted to believe her. But something about that night never sat right. Why had Ethan gone to the cabin alone? Why was his phone off for hours? Why did the fire inspectors say they found no body, just traces of blood and burned belongings? They told me the blaze was too intense, that sometimes there's nothing left. But his wedding band, they said they never found it. And Ethan never took it off. A month passed. I went back to teaching, to breathing, to pretending, until one Friday evening, 4 weeks to the day, fate slit my life open again. I was driving home from work, rain smearing the windshield like tears, when my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Unknown. "If you want the truth about Ethan, come to Motel 13, room 206. Don't tell anyone." My heart dropped. I almost laughed. A cruel prank, surely. But the message came with a photo. My hand trembled as I zoomed in. The picture was grainy but clear enough. Ethan, standing by a motel window, alive and beside him. A woman with long auburn hair. I slammed the brakes, my heart pounding harder than the rain. My world tilted, the air gone from my lungs. "No," I whispered. "That's impossible." But I knew that red hair, that laugh, that curve of her neck. It was my sister, and the man holding her waist like a lover, the same man I'd buried 4 weeks ago, was my husband. The sign for Motel 13 buzzed faintly through the rain, its neon vacancy flickering like a dying heartbeat. My hands shook as I parked my car in the shadows behind a row of half-dead trees. I shouldn't have come. But every part of me burned with the need to know if Ethan was alive, if Lena was with him. Then the fire hadn't taken everything. It had only begun something far darker. The reception area reeked of cheap coffee and disinfectant. The old man behind the counter barely looked up from his newspaper. "Room 206, I said, sliding a few bills across the counter. "Is it occupied?" He grunted. "Yeah, a couple checked in this afternoon. Been quiet since." My throat tightened. "A man and a woman?" He nodded slowly. "You know them?" I forced a smile. "Just visiting friends." His gaze lingered a second too long before he handed me a spare key card. "Don't cause trouble, lady." Trouble, I thought bitterly, was all I had left. The corridor to room 206 stretched like a tunnel. The hum of broken lights filled my ears. My pulse counted every step. At the door, I froze. From inside came laughter, soft, familiar laughter I hadn't heard since the funeral. Lena's. Then a man's voice followed, low and smooth. Ethan's voice. My knees almost gave way. The world blurred, and for a moment I just stood there, shaking, the keycard cold in my hand. I should have called the police. I should have run. But love makes fools of us all, and grief makes us reckless. I slid the keycard through the slot. The green light blinked. The door creaked open a fraction. Inside, the lamps were dim, curtains drawn tight. Ethan stood near the bed, back turned, shirt half buttoned. And Lena? She sat on the edge of the bed, wearing a silk robe I recognized from my own wardrobe. My breath hitched so hard it hurt. "Ethan," I whispered. He froze. Lena's head snapped toward me, eyes wide, face pale as chalk. For a long, stretching moment, no one spoke. The air between us was heavy enough to drown in. Then Ethan turned. The sight of him hit me like a ghost stepping out of a dream. The same hazel eyes, the same scar near his collarbone. The same man I'd mourned. "Mira," he said, voice barely above a breath. "You shouldn't be here." I stared at him, my voice shaking. "You're supposed to be dead." He looked away. "It's not what you think," I laughed, a raw, broken sound. "Then tell me what it is." "Because what I see is my husband alive in a motel room with my sister." Lena stood, trembling. "Mira, please. Listen. Don't!" I cut her off, stepping back. "Don't you dare say my name." Ethan took a step forward. "The fire wasn't an accident. You were never supposed to be there." His words sliced through me. "What are you talking about?" He opened his mouth to explain, but suddenly, from outside, a car door slammed. Ethan's face changed instantly, fear flashing in his eyes. "Get out!" he hissed. "Now, Mira, go." "Who's out there?" I demanded. "What's going on?" But before he could answer, the window shattered. A bullet tore through the lamp, plunging the room into darkness. Lena screamed. Ethan grabbed me, pulling me down as glass rained around us. When the noise stopped, I could hear only the ringing in my ears and my own breath. Ethan's hand was on my arm, trembling. "We have to leave," he said urgently. "Now, before they find us." "They?" I repeated, stunned. "Who's they?" He looked at me with haunted eyes. "The people who think I'm dead." The night swallowed us whole as we ran from the motel. Ethan's grip on my hand was iron tight, his breath ragged. Lena trailed behind, sobbing, clutching her robe as we darted into the rain-soaked alley behind the building. "Ethan, what is happening?" I gasped, slipping on the wet asphalt. "Who's shooting at us?" He didn't answer until we reached his car, a black sedan I didn't recognize, parked under a flickering streetlight. He opened the passenger door and pushed me inside. "Drive to where?" I demanded. He didn't look at me. "Somewhere safe." Lena climbed into the back seat, face pale, lips trembling. "Ethan, she deserves to know," she whispered. "Not yet," he snapped. "Not here." The engine roared to life and we sped away, tires slicing through puddles. The rain chased us down empty streets as my mind screamed with questions. I couldn't stop staring at him. The man I'd mourned for weeks. The man I'd buried in my heart. He was alive, and every heartbeat I'd spent missing him now pulsed with rage and confusion. Finally, I found my voice. "You faked your death, didn't you?" He didn't deny it. The truth fell into the space between us like thunder. "Why, Ethan?" I shouted. "You left me to grieve you, to bury ashes that weren't even yours." I had to," he interrupted, voice raw. "Mira, you don't understand. If I hadn't, you'd be dead too." Silence. The rain hammered against the windshield like 1,000 small explosions. "What do you mean?" I whispered. "Who wants me dead?" He looked at me, truly looked, and I saw the man I once trusted with everything. The man who used to hold me in the dark and whisper promises that felt eternal. "I was investigating something," he said quietly. "Before the fire. My company. It wasn't just tech contracts. It was laundering money for a private security firm. When I found out, I tried to expose them. They warned me to back off. And you didn't," I said softly. He shook his head. "The night of the fire, I was supposed to meet a contact. They got there first. I barely made it out alive. I had to disappear, make them think I was dead. I felt dizzy. And Lena? Where does she fit in this?" The rearview mirror caught her eyes. Full of guilt, full of something darker. "She helped me," Ethan said quietly. "She was the only one I could trust." I turned in my seat. "Trust? You were sleeping with her, Ethan?" Lena flinched as if I'd slapped her. "It's not what it looked like," she said weakly. "Then tell me what it was." Her eyes filled with tears. "He was dying, Mira." I helped him hide after the fire. "I nursed him. I kept him alive. But he only ever talked about you," I wanted to scream. I wanted to believe her. But the image of them together in that motel room wouldn't leave my mind. The car slowed as Ethan pulled into an abandoned rest stop near the edge of town. The lights were broken. The night hummed with insects and secrets. He killed the engine and turned to face me. "Mira," he said softly. "There's more. The man who shot at us tonight, he's the same one who set the fire." I stared at him. "Who?" He hesitated. "Someone close. Someone inside the company. Someone who knows you." My blood turned cold. "Knows me?" Ethan nodded. "They think you have something that could expose them. Something I left behind." I shook my head. "I don't have anything." He leaned closer, voice low. "Search your phone, your cloud backups, your messages. There's an encrypted file I sent you the night before the fire, I frowned. You sent me... Before he could finish, headlights swept across the lot, another car pulling in fast. Ethan's expression hardened. They found us, Lena gasped. Ethan, what do we do? He reached into the glove box, pulled out a small flash drive, and pressed it into my palm. If I don't make it, he said, this is the truth. Don't trust anyone, not even the police. Ethan, promise me, Mira. Tears blurred my vision. I promise. The other car screeched to a stop behind us. Doors opened. Shadows moved. Ethan turned toward me one last time, his eyes full of everything unsaid. Everything broken. I love you, he whispered. Then he pushed the door open and ran into the darkness. Gunfire erupted. Lena screamed. I ducked down, clutching the flash drive, heart pounding like a drum. Outside, a voice shouted, "He's hit! Don't let the woman get away!" And just like that, I realized Ethan might die all over again tonight. The night split open with gunfire. I ducked lower in the car, glass shattering around me, the smell of gunpowder sharp and acrid. "Ethan!" I screamed, fumbling for the door handle, but Lena grabbed my arm. "No!" she cried. "He said to stay down." I tore free, heart hammering. "I can't just leave him." Outside, shadows moved between flashes of lightning and muzzle fire. Ethan darted behind a car, returning fire with the pistol he must have taken from the glove compartment, but he was outnumbered. Two men in black approached from the left, their voices cold and calm. "Get the drive," one said. "Kill the rest," I froze. They were after the same thing Ethan had pressed into my hand. Lena yanked my sleeve. "We have to go now." "What about Ethan?" I whispered, throat burning. She looked away, tears streaming. "He'd want you to live." Another shot rang out, and then a scream. Not his voice. For a heartbeat, hope flared, until I saw him stumble from behind the car, clutching his shoulder, blood soaking his sleeve. Our eyes met across the rain-slick pavement. He mouthed one word, "Run," and I did. Lena and I sprinted into the woods behind the motel, mud sucking at our shoes, branches clawing at our faces. My lungs burned, my heart drumming with grief and adrenaline. Behind us, engines roared. Headlights cut through the trees like ghostly eyes. We didn't stop running until the forest opened onto an empty highway. A single truck passed, spraying water as it went. Lena waved desperately, and the driver slowed just enough for us to jump into the back. As the truck rumbled into the distance, I looked back. Smoke rose from the trees where the gunfire had been. Ethan was gone. Again. The next morning, I woke in a cheap roadside motel. My hands were still trembling. The flash drive lay on the bedside table, gleaming like a secret waiting to explode. Lena sat beside me, pale and quiet. Her hair was tangled, her robe gone, now wearing one of my old hoodies she'd found in the car. "Do you think he's alive?" she whispered. I stared at the flash drive. "He survived once," her gaze dropped. "If he doesn't this time? What then?" I swallowed hard. "Then I find out what he died for." I plugged the drive into my laptop. A folder appeared, encrypted. Password required, of course. My heart twisted as I typed the only word that came to mind. Mira, invalid. Then, Ethan, invalid. Finally, I typed, forever. The folder opened. Inside were dozens of files, emails, receipts, photos, documents detailing contracts, offshore accounts, payments labeled with code names. At the center, a file named Project Phoenix. I clicked it open. Blueprints, maps, photos of fire-damaged warehouses, including our cabin. I scrolled further down and froze at the last image. A picture of me and Ethan, taken from afar through a telephoto lens. The date stamp 2 days before the fire. Someone had been watching us. Lena stood behind me, hand over her mouth. "Oh my God," I whispered. "They didn't just want to kill him. They wanted both of us gone." She nodded slowly. "Ethan said they thought you had something. That must be why they're still hunting you." I turned to her. "Then why did you help him hide it?" "You could have told me. You could have warned me." Her eyes filled with guilt. "Because he begged me not to. He said it was the only way to keep you safe." Her voice broke. "Mira, he didn't fake his death to escape you. He did it to protect you." The words hit me like a punch. All the anger, all the heartbreak, it didn't erase what I'd seen in his eyes last night. Love, regret, fear. He said someone close to him betrayed him, I said quietly. Do you know who? Lena hesitated. I think it's someone higher up. Someone from his company, maybe even his best friend, Adrian Vale. They worked on everything together. The name made my stomach twist. Adrian, the man who delivered Ethan's eulogy, who'd hugged me at the funeral whispering how sorry he was. The same man who kept visiting to check on me. A knock shattered the silence. We froze. It came again, softer this time. Mira, it's Adrian. Open up. My heart stopped. Lena's eyes went wide. He found us. I grabbed the flash drive, shoving it into my pocket. Mira, Adrian's voice called again, calm but heavy. We need to talk. It's about Ethan. I backed away from the door. Lena, there's a back window, she nodded, eyes darting. Mira, Adrian said again, and this time his tone darkened. Don't make me come in there. Glass shattered. The lock snapped. The door swung open. Adrian stepped inside, gun in hand. Hello, Mira, he said softly. I've been looking for you. Adrian stepped into the motel room as if he owned the air itself. He looked the same as ever. Sleek black coat, calm blue eyes, that easy, practiced smile that used to make investors trust him without question. Only now there was a gun in his hand. Close the window, he said. Lena froze halfway through, climbing out. Slowly she obeyed, her breath trembling. Adrian, I said carefully, stepping between him and her. What are you doing here? He tilted his head, amused. What am I doing here? I could ask you the same thing. You disappeared after your husband's tragic death, and now, here you are, hiding with your sister in a roadside motel. Quite the coincidence, isn't it? My voice shook. Ethan's alive. For a moment, his expression didn't change. Then slowly, his smile widened. I was wondering when you'd figure that out. Lena's gasp filled the silence. You knew? Oh, Lena, he said, glancing at her. Of course I knew. I'm the one who helped him disappear. My world tilted. What? Adrian lowered the gun, circling the room like a man savoring a secret. Ethan was brilliant but reckless. He thought he could expose the company's financial crimes. My crimes. So I offered him a deal. Stage his death, vanish quietly, and I'd make sure no one came after you, Mira. I felt my stomach twist. You lied to him, he shrugged. I gave him a choice, he took it. But then he got sentimental. He couldn't stay away from you. When he showed up again, everything I'd built started to unravel. You killed him, I whispered. The fire. That was you. Adrian's smile never wavered. I didn't start the fire, Mira, but I made sure it finished its job. Lena stepped forward suddenly, voice trembling. You're sick. You used us all. Used? Adrian laughed softly. No, Lena, I trusted you. You were the one who betrayed me when you helped him hide. Her lips parted in shock. How did you? Because I was watching, he said simply. From the beginning. He turned his eyes to me again. You know what's funny, Mira? Ethan never realized you were his greatest weakness. You, his perfect wife, his moral compass. You made him predictable. He took a slow step toward me. And now you have the only thing that can destroy me. That flash drive. I swallowed hard, every muscle in my body tight. You'll never get it. Adrian smiled, not cruelly, but almost fondly. You always were brave. That's why Ethan fell in love with you. He cocked the gun. But bravery doesn't keep you alive. Before he could move, Lena shouted, Mira, run! She lunged at him, grabbing his arm. The gun fired, deafening, bright, chaotic. I ducked as the bullet tore into the wall. Lena screamed as Adrian shoved her hard, sending her crashing into the table. I kicked the lamp toward him, sparks flying. He stumbled. The moment was all I needed. I bolted through the back door into the rain. Stop her! He shouted behind me, but I didn't look back. I ran across the parking lot, my shoes slipping, my heart thundering. The flash drive burned cold in my pocket. Somewhere behind me, a second shot rang out. Then silence. Lena! I screamed, but there was no answer. My chest heaved. Tears mixed with the rain as I stumbled toward the road, and then a pair of headlights swept across me. A car screeched to a halt. The door flung open. Mira! I froze. That voice, broken, urgent, alive. Ethan. He was covered in blood, his arm bandaged with torn fabric, his face pale but determined. "Get in!" he shouted. I didn't think, I just ran to him. He grabbed my hand, pulled me inside, slammed the door shut, and hit the gas. Bullets pinged off the car as we sped away, glass shattering behind us. My tears came in gasps of shock, fear, and impossible relief. "You're alive," I whispered. "You're actually alive," he gave a small, pained smile. "Barely," I glanced behind us. "Lena, Adrian shot her." His jaw tightened. "I know, I saw." "She's gone, Mira." I covered my mouth. The words shattered inside me. "No! She tried to save me." "She did," Ethan said softly. "She always loved you more than herself." The road blurred beneath us, endless and dark. I turned to him, voice shaking. "He told me everything. Adrian betrayed you. The company, the fire, it was all him." Ethan nodded grimly. "I know, that's why we can't stop now. That drive you have, it's the key. Everything's in there. Names, transfers, evidence. If we can get it to the press, we can end this." I touched the pocket where it hid. "He'll kill us before that. Then we make sure he never finds us again." He looked at me, eyes full of something raw and real. "Mira, I never stopped loving you. Every day I was gone, Don't," I whispered. "Don't say that now," he smiled faintly. "Then I'll show you later." Thunder rolled above as the horizon bled faint morning light. We had escaped, for now. But I knew Adrian wouldn't stop, and somewhere inside me, beneath the fear and grief, a spark of resolve began to burn. I'd already lost my husband once. I wouldn't lose him again. We drove until the world turned quiet. The rain had stopped by the time the sky began to pale, streaks of silver mist curling over the horizon. Ethan's grip on the steering wheel was steady, though his face had gone pale from blood loss.
I watched him in silence, half afraid he'd disappear again if I blinked too long.
"Pull over," I finally said. "You're hurt." He shook his head. "We can't stop yet." "He'll track us." I reached over, touching his arm gently. "Ethan, you're bleeding through the bandage. You won't make it if we don't rest." For a moment, he didn't look at me. Then he sighed, slowed the car, and turned down an empty gravel road. At the end of it sat a small farmhouse forgotten by time. The windows were boarded, the paint peeling, but it was shelter. We slipped inside. The air smelled of dust and wood. Light poured in through the cracks, soft and golden. Ethan sank into an old chair with a wince. I found a faded first aid kit beneath the sink and knelt beside him. When I touched his arm, he flinched. "I'm fine," he murmured. "Liar," I said softly, unwrapping the soaked bandage. "You always say that." He smiled faintly, his voice weak but tender. "Old habits." The wound wasn't deep, but the edges were raw and ugly. As I cleaned it, my hands shook, not from fear, but from everything I hadn't said. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. "Why didn't you trust me enough to run with you?" He looked at me, eyes dark with regret. "Because I couldn't risk you, Mira. If they knew you were alive, they'd use you to find me." "They did anyway," I said bitterly. "I almost died because of it." He winced. "And I'll never forgive myself for that." For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the wind pressing against the broken walls. When I finally tied the last knot in the fresh bandage, he caught my hand. "Mira," he said softly, "when I saw you at that motel door, I thought I was dreaming. I didn't deserve another chance to see you." I met his gaze. "And when I saw you alive, I thought I was losing my mind." He smiled faintly. "So maybe we're both crazy." "Maybe," I whispered. "But at least we're crazy together." For the first time since the fire, he laughed, a quiet, broken sound that made my chest ache. As the morning light deepened, I took out the flash drive again. Ethan nodded toward the laptop. "Open the hidden folder. There's something you haven't seen yet." I frowned, but did as he said. Inside was a single encrypted file named Phoenix Restored. "Password?" I asked. He hesitated. "Lena knew it. She helped me set it." My heart clenched. "She's gone, Ethan." "I know." His voice broke slightly. "But she might have left us something." I scrolled through the previous folder. A note file sat in the corner dated 2 days ago. "Mira, if you find this, use the date you and Ethan met. It's the only thing he never forgets." I stared at it, my throat tight. The date, I typed it in. The file opened. Inside were video recordings. Meetings between Adrian and foreign investors, secret exchanges, voices talking about Project Phoenix, about testing control through staged disaster events. It wasn't just money laundering. It was experimentation, controlled chaos, testing responses, manipulating markets, lives. The cabin fire was never an accident. It was a test run. Ethan's voice shook. They were studying how the media and authorities react to small-scale disasters, manufacturing tragedy to profit off the aftermath. My blood turned to ice. So, we were their experiment? He nodded slowly. You, me, everyone in that town. I covered my mouth. Oh my God. Ethan looked at me, his expression unreadable. This is enough to bring everything down. But we have to get it out. And fast. I glanced at the flickering connection icon on the laptop. There's no signal here. Then we find one, he said. But we can't go to the police. Adrian owns half of them. My eyes burned with anger and disbelief. He's not going to stop, Ethan. He'll come for us. Ethan met my gaze. Then we end it before he can. That night, we hid in the farmhouse, eating canned soup by candlelight. I watched him across the table, the light painting his face in gold and shadow. After everything, after the lies, the loss, the pain, I still loved him. And I hated that I did. You should sleep, he murmured. I shook my head. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see the fire. He reached across the table, brushing his fingers against mine. Then don't sleep alone. Later, as the night deepened, I lay with him beneath an old quilt. His heartbeat was steady under my palm, his warmth real and alive. I thought you were gone forever, I whispered into the dark. So did I, he murmured. But maybe fate wasn't done with us yet. For a moment, there was no gunfire, no lies, just us. Two people who'd lost everything except each other, but as I drifted toward sleep, something stirred at the edge of my mind. A sound, a faint hum. Outside near the woods, a car engine idling. I sat up sharply. Ethan! He was already awake, gun in hand. They found us. And through the cracks in the window, I saw the reflection of headlights, moving closer. The engine's low growl outside was too steady to be random. Ethan moved silently to the window, eyes scanning the tree line. 2 cars, he whispered. They're flanking the house. My pulse thundered in my throat. How did they find us? He didn't look away. They've been tracking my phone. Even turned off, the GPS can be pinged if you know the right back doors. I grabbed the flash drive from the table. Then we need to move now. He nodded. There's an old storm tunnel behind the barn. If we reach the creek, we can follow it to the main road. A crash split the air. A door kicked in at the front of the house. Go! Ethan hissed, shoving me toward the back. We ran through the kitchen, glass shattering behind us as bullets tore through the windows. My breath came in short, panicked bursts. The door to the barn gave way with a groan. We slipped into the damp night, feet sinking into mud. Down here! Ethan said, prying open a half-buried grate. The tunnel yawned below, black and cold. I climbed in first, heart racing, hands scraping against the metal. Ethan followed, pulling the grate shut just as flashlights swept across the yard. We crawled through the darkness, the tunnel sloping down, the sound of running water ahead. Every echo felt like footsteps behind us. After what felt like hours, we emerged beside a narrow creek. The sky above was gray, heavy with dawn. We stumbled toward the trees, gasping for air. Then Ethan froze. A figure stepped out from behind the rocks. Adrian. He looked immaculate despite the mud and rain, his coat spotless, his smile calm. Behind him, 2 men raised their guns. End of the road, he said softly. You've had quite the adventure. Ethan stepped in front of me, gun raised. Let her go, Adrian. You want the drive? Take it and walk away. Adrian shook his head. You know me better than that. He gestured, and one of the men grabbed me, wrenching my arm. The flash drive slipped from my fingers, landing in the mud. Adrian crouched to pick it up, brushing the dirt away. This little piece of plastic has caused me a lot of trouble. You killed innocent people for it, I spat. He smiled faintly. Collateral damage. You and Ethan were never supposed to survive that fire. Ethan's voice hardened. You made sure we did. Adrian tilted his head. Did I? Something in Ethan's face shifted. Realization, horror. What did you do? Ethan demanded. Adrian's smile widened. You really don't remember, do you? The night of the fire, you didn't save Mira, Lena did. You were unconscious. You inhaled too much smoke before you ever left the cabin. I froze. What are you talking about? Adrian's eyes met mine. He wasn't supposed to die. He was supposed to burn with you. But your sister dragged him out, left you behind to fetch help, and by the time she returned, the cabin was gone. Ethan shook his head. That's a lie. Is it? Adrian said softly. Ask yourself why she was the one who found me first. Why she agreed to hide you. I stared at Ethan, the pieces twisting together like barbed wire. Ethan. He turned to me, his voice breaking. I didn't know. I swear, Mira, I didn't know. Adrian stood, tucking the flash drive into his pocket. And she didn't tell you because she loved him too, Mira. Not like a sister should. The world tilted. Lena's last words, her eyes, the guilt, everything made a terrible kind of sense. Ethan reached for me. Don't believe him, Adrian sighed. Believe what you want, but this ends now. He raised the gun. I didn't think. I shoved Ethan aside, diving for the mud. The gun fired, the sound deafening. Ethan staggered, falling to one knee, blood blossoming across his shirt. Ethan! I screamed. He lifted his gun and fired back. One of Adrian's men dropped. The other fled. Adrian stumbled backward, clutching his arm. The flash drive flew from his hand, landing near the water. I ran for it, sliding on my knees through the mud. He lunged at the same moment, grabbing my wrist. Don't do this, Mira, he hissed. If you leak it, you'll die too. They'll never let you walk away. Maybe not, I said, teeth gritted, but you won't walk away either. I twisted free, slamming the drive against a rock. It cracked, water rushing over it. Adrian's eyes widened. You stupid! He never finished. Ethan fired again. Adrian collapsed, the water washing red around him. I ran to Ethan, catching him as he fell. His breathing was shallow, his eyes glazed. No, stay with me, I whispered, pressing my hand to his wound. He smiled weakly. You always did have bad timing. Don't you dare joke now, I said, choking on tears. Mira, listen. His hand trembled as he reached for mine. The drive? I made copies. Cloud backup. Password's our song. I shook my head, tears falling freely. We'll use it together, okay? We'll finish this. He looked past me, toward the dawn breaking through the trees. You always loved the sunrise? Then his hand went still. The world went quiet. The creek murmured. The wind shifted, and the man who had already died once was gone again. I held him until the sirens came, until the morning swallowed us both, 3 weeks later. The city was quieter now, or maybe it was just me who had changed. The funeral had been small. No media, no police reports that told the real story. Just me, standing over an empty grave again. The same man, buried twice. The same heart, broken differently each time. The government called it a tragic confrontation. The news whispered of missing data, private contracts, and suspected leaks. But no one spoke Ethan's name. No one but me. I'd thought about destroying everything, about letting his secrets die with him. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw the fire, the motel, the rain, and I heard his voice. The password's our song. The USB backups were hidden deep within a cloud drive only he and I had used. It took me days to find it, but when I finally did, the folder opened like a ghost exhaling. Inside were hundreds of encrypted files. Financial records, names, offshore accounts, digital contracts linking Adrian's security firm to weapons trafficking, political bribes, disappearances. It was bigger than I'd ever imagined. And at the end of the list, a single audio file. For Mira. My throat tightened. I pressed play. If you're hearing this, I didn't make it, Ethan's voice said softly. But I need you to know, none of this was ever about revenge. I only wanted to protect you. I made mistakes, Mira. I trusted the wrong people. I hurt you in ways I can't undo. But if there's any justice left in this world, it starts with you. Don't be afraid to burn it all down. Phoenixes rise from ashes, right? The recording ended, but his voice lingered. 2 nights later, I sat alone in my apartment staring at the laptop screen. The files were ready. 1 click and everything would go public. Every name, every crime, every secret. I hesitated. If I leaked it, I'd be hunted. If I didn't, Ethan's death would mean nothing. My phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number. If you want the truth about your sister, Meet me at the place where it all began. My blood ran cold. The cabin, the drive into the mountains felt endless. The same winding road, the same trees. Everything looked just as it had that night, except now there was no fire. Only silence and scars. When I reached the clearing, I saw her. Lena stood by the blackened remains of the cabin, her coat flapping in the wind. Her hair was longer now, her face pale but calm. "I knew you'd come," she said quietly. I didn't speak. I only stared. She turned to the ashes, her voice trembling. "I've stood here every week since that night, trying to decide whether I deserve forgiveness." "Why?" I asked hoarsely. "Why did you save him instead of me?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Because I loved him too." The words cut deeper than any bullet. "I didn't plan to," she said. "He was your husband, Mira. I told myself it was nothing. But when I found him unconscious in the fire, I couldn't leave him. I thought you were already gone. I wanted to hate her. I wanted to scream until the mountains cracked. But all I could do was whisper, 'You let me believe he died.' I thought it would be kinder than the truth," she said. "He begged me to protect you. He said if you ever found out, you'd run straight into danger." I shook my head, tears burning. "You don't get to decide what's kind." She looked at me then, really looked, and I saw the same grief I carried. "He never loved me the way he loved you. That's my punishment. Every single day." Silence stretched between us, heavy as smoke. Finally, she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small black device. "This is the real drive. Adrian didn't know about it. I took it before he found us." I stared. "Why are you giving it to me?" "Because you're stronger than me," she said softly. "Because Ethan believed in you. And because the only way any of us find peace is if the truth comes out." She placed the drive in my hand. Then she turned and walked into the trees, her figure fading into the mist. That night, I uploaded everything. Every file, every document, every secret Ethan had died for. By morning, the world was on fire again, but this time the right kind of fire. Officials resigned. Companies collapsed. Headlines screamed. And somewhere beneath all the noise, Ethan's name resurfaced, not as a criminal, not as a ghost, but as a man who'd tried to do the right thing. A month later, I returned to the mountains one last time. The first snow had fallen, soft and quiet. The air was clean, almost forgiving. I set a single white lily down where the cabin used to stand. "I kept your promise," I whispered. "You were right. Phoenixes do rise from ashes." A gust of wind stirred the trees. For a moment, I thought I heard his voice, just a whisper carried on the cold air. "I'm proud of you, Mira." I smiled through tears. "I know." Then I turned toward the sunrise, its golden light spilling over the horizon, and walked away, leaving the ashes behind.